A positive and productive day to each and everyone. I truly believe in positive synergy, that your positive mindset gives you a more hopeful outlook and believe that you can do something great. Means that you will do something great. Action is the fundamental key to all success, and the simple act of paying positive attention to people has a great deal to do with your productivity. Thus, presenting our case study entitled ESTEEM-ULUS, a case study about the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field. My name is John Alexis de la Cruz, and to start, we will proceed to the chapter 1, which is the problem and the background of the study. Next slide, please. Next. Positive reinforcement is a transferable means. It is contagious in a way that it is a key to a stimulus in the productivity of a person or worker in a workplace. It is a must in every worker's esteem since they are the most functional and they must hold and have productivity and unity for them to work efficiently and effectively as work will be done on time. And according to Williams, productivity is a factor that we must consider in construction site because if you don't pay attention, the projects will be delayed and out of control. So with that being stated, it is indispensable to uncover and discover how positive reinforcement affects construction workers' productivity. Next. For the objectives, at the end of the study, the following objectives hereby mentioned below are expected to achieve and delineate. First, for the general objective, the study sought to evaluate the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers to the construction field. So for the specific objectives, first is to discover how positive reinforcement directed workers to be competent and skillful at work. Next, to find out how positive reinforcement cultivated workers to be efficient and precise at work. Third, to assess how positive reinforcement helped workers to lead and take actions at work. Then to determine how positive reinforcement taught workers to be well-disciplined and systematized at work. Fifth, to evaluate how positive reinforcement enriched workers to be cooperative and have unity at work. Next, to appraise how positive reinforcement educated workers to be lively, passionate, and have will to learn to work. Seventh, to discern how positive reinforcement nurtured workers to be responsible. And lastly, to cognize how positive reinforcement enlightened workers to be devotional and reflective at work. So now let's give the floor to our next presenter. Thank you.
I'm Jezreel David and I am the next presenter. Conceptual framework. Input. The researchers select participants from the workers at construction field. The researchers use quantitative-descriptive method for this study. Situation sampling was utilized for the selection of participants. The researchers administered online and on-site survey questionnaires to the participants. Process. The researchers floated online and on-site survey questionnaires to the workers at construction field. After giving the survey questionnaires, the researchers surveyed the participants to get an answer from them. All of the survey questionnaires were collected by the researchers at the end of the survey process. Output: the researchers gathered all of the data collected from the administration of survey questionnaires. The researchers analyzed and interpreted the results from the collected data. The researchers will know and recognize the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at construction field. Hypothesis. This study is important because it seeks to determine how the positive reinforcements influences workers' productivity at the construction field. The researchers assume that the positive reinforcements affect the workers' productivity in terms of being clever, systematic, initiative, organized, collaborative, dynamic, culpable, and contemplative. Statement of the problem. The researchers aim to find out the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the construction workers at the construction field. More specifically, the study sought to answer the following questions. First, how may the participants be described in terms of position or designation, and construction site or employer. Second, how may the participants be selected? Third, how may the productivity of the participants be evaluated? And lastly, how may the impact of positive reinforcement to the enhancement of the productivity of the participants be evaluated? Next is the significance of the study. The study is generally projected to evaluate the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field. Specifically, this study is intended for the benefits of the following. First is the construction workers. The construction workers will be aware of the realities that exist in every construction workplace, why they cope with dynamic work, a secure atmosphere, and a harmonious relationship. Entire team. The entire team would assess their own strengths and weaknesses in terms of work ethics and attitudes and fruit or reason for their productivity gains and losses. Supervisor or employer. The supervisor or employer will have a better understanding of coping methods, ideas, and reinforcement for controlling and managing the productivity of construction workers. Company. The company would have a competitive advantage over its competitors and might outperform other construction corporations, resulting in a more effective and prosperous firm. Future researchers. This study will serve as a valuable reference for other researchers who plan to make any related study. A continuation of this study may be done to fill in the gaps of this research that may result in an in-depth analysis of the topic. Scope and delimitation. The general intent of this quantitative descriptive case study is to focus on the impact of the positive reinforcement towards the productivity of the workers at the construction field. Due to the stringent guidelines required from the researchers, situation sampling was utilized in selecting the respondents of the study. The study does not also cover the other impacts of positive reinforcement and is restricted to their productivity only. The primary data gathering method will be through the use of online and on-site survey questionnaires. The duration of the study was conducted on June 2022. Now, let's give the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
I'm Azel Di Mabuyo and I'm the next presenter. Review of related literature. Concepts about positive reinforcement. Positive refers to your attitude of optimism and assurance in all that you accomplish. Being joyful or hopeful or inspiring joy of optimism, while reinforcement is a reaction to someone's activity meant to increase the person's likelihood of repainting that behavior. Concept about productivity. In order to generate more than you have in the past, you must maximize your efficiency. The efficient use of resource, including labor, capital, land, materials, and energy, and information in the creation of variety of goods and services is known as productivity. Concept about construction. On the word of all answers, LTD to 208, that in construction labor, productivity is crucial for engineers, especially for civil engineers. In construction, they must increase their productivity because they are competitive. Concept about the linkage of positive reinforcement of productivity. According to Martin, 2005, that when it comes to the increasing productivity, satisfaction, and motivation in work field, positive psychology plays an important role. For example, companies providing recognition and appraisal of employees, supporting and valuing their work in individual, and administering positive reinforcement in effective and motivating way that can inspire employees and workers to be better person in their jobs.
Research design. The researchers use a quantitative approach to determine the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field, as it uses deductive logic in which researchers start with hypotheses and then collect data that can be used to determine empirical evidence to support that the hypothesis exists. Respondents of the study. The respondents of the study were construction workers in different construction fields. The researchers would survey 100% of the population because, according to the Sulistana 2009, when the population is below 30, use the largest sample possible. Sampling technique. A non-probability sampling technique was established in the study, specifically situation sampling. Situation sampling involves the study behavior in many different locations and under different circumstances and conditions. Research instruments. The researchers administered online/Google form and on-site printed form survey questionnaires to the respondents in order to evaluate the positive reinforcement to the productivity of the construction workers in construction fields.
I'm Trisha M. Cortez, and I am the next presenter. For the data collection procedure, first a survey questionnaire was formulated and validated, which was placed in a Google form or online survey and in a printed form or on-site survey. Second, the researchers disseminated the survey questionnaires to the construction workers through online and on-site survey. Third, all of the survey questionnaires were gathered and tallied by the researchers at the end of the survey process. Primary and secondary sources were used for the literature review. Fourth, the researchers compiled the information gathered and analyzed and interpreted the findings. Next slide. Ethical consideration. Throughout the study, the researchers prioritized respect and reverence, considered the confirmation of willingness to participate in the study, privacy, confidentiality, and anonymity. Sources are properly cited and acknowledged, and lastly, the objectivity. Next slide. The research locale. The researchers conducted their study in different locations and under different circumstances and conditions here in the Philippines, particularly in Pampanga. Next slide. For the statistical treatment of data, first, to calculate the proportion of the percentage of the data collected, the researchers used the percentage formula, specifically for the profile of the workers working at the construction field, such as the positioner designation and name of construction site or employer. P is equal to F over N times 100, where P is equal to percentage, F is equal to frequency, and N is the total number of respondents. Second, to calculate the frequency distribution on the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field, the researchers utilized the weighted mean, summation of f of x over n, where x is equal to weighted mean. Summation of f of x is the total weighted score, or the summation of the scores, and is the total number of respondents. Third, to identify the response category, or the verbal interpretation of the data computed with regards to the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field, the researchers make use of Likert Scale. Likert Scale results interpretation shows that on a scale of 5, it ranges 4.20 to 5. It is considered high. On a scale of 5, it ranges 3.40 to less than 4.20 and has verbal interpretation of considerable. On a scale of 3, it ranges 2.60 to less than 3.40, which is moderate. On a scale of 2, 1.80 to less than 2.60 has a verbal interpretation of low, and on a scale of 1, it ranges 1 to less than 1.80 is insignificant. Fourth, in order for all of the solution to be consistent, and before proceeding with this process of inferring whether positive reinforcement has a significant impact to the productivity of the construction workers, the researchers utilized the formula on how to get the standard deviation. Sigma is equal to square root of summation of x sub I minus mu squared over n, where sigma is equal to population standard deviation, n is equal to size of the population, x sub I is equal to each value from the population and mu is equal to population mean. Fifth, to test the hypothesis, if positive reinforcement has a significant impact to the productivity of the construction workers, the researchers utilize Z statistic, or the testing of hypothesis by single means. Z is equal to x bar minus mu divided by sigma over square root of n, where sigma is the standard deviation, n is the size, x bar is the mean, and mu is the population mean. Lastly, to solve the Z-critical and p-value, the researchers utilized Excel formulas as they were necessary through the process and will be crucial for the comparison of values. Z-critical is equal to normal S in INV sigma, and P minus value is equal to normal S distribution, or Z true. Now let's give the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
I'm Sulayo Ken Leonard, and I am the next presenter. Table 1. Regarding the worker profile, in particular their position or designation in the construction field, majority of the workers stated their duties and responsibility. On the other hand, minority of the workers chose not to indicate their roles and functions. First, 26.40% of the respondents, or 33 out of 125 participants, are helpers. 15 out of 125 participants are laborers. 9.6% of the respondents, 12 out of 125 participants, are masons. Then 10 out of 125 participants are painters. 4.8% of the respondents, or 6 out of 125 participants, are welders. 5 out of 125 participants are foreman. Fifth, 3.2% of the respondents, or 4 out of 125 participants, are electricians. Then 3 out of 125 participants are equipment/machine operators. 1.6% of the respondents, or 2 out of 125 participants, are safety officers. Additionally, present as a single response with a percentage of 0.80% each are carpenter, drywall installer, field engineer, iron worker, joiner, pipe fitter, roofer, site engineer, and site nurse. Lastly, 20.8% of the respondents, or 26 out of 125 participants, did not mention their position. Next slide. Table 2. Regarding the next profile of the workers working in the construction field, most workers who participated mentioned the name of their employer or working location in this section, while a minority of the workers opted to exclude their company or workplace information. First, 9.60% of the respondents, or 12 out of 125 participants, works at RBS Construction. Tenisonville and Residencia Romero each had 10 respondents out of 125 participants, with 8% each. Out of 125 participants, having 7 respondents, each came from the sites of Ligaya Corporation and Severa Subdivision. Then 3.20% of the respondents came from Nicledon Construction. Fifth, the Amaya Land Corporation, JP Panlaki Construction and Trading, and MVBC has 2 respondents each out of 125 participants, taking a percentage of 1.60%. Additionally, present as a single response with a percentage of 0.80% each came from 227 Trading and Services, Alansari Establishment, Architect Pools, BA Tongal Construction, Cedric Construction, Unsan Pilco Corporation, The Sharp Clark Hills, Hillmark Company, J. Yon Construction Services Philippines Corporation, JSC Construction, Quince Residence, NL Lingad Construction, Palag Construction, RSP Construction, RJ Dizon, Silag Corporation, Sinag Construction, and Tayag Residence. Lastly, 28.80% of the respondents, or 36 out of 125 participants, did not mention the name of their construction site or their employer. Next slide. For Table 3, this table illustrates the summary of frequency distribution and the 8 productivity measurements that needed to be evaluated in assessing the impact of positive reinforcement to the productivity of the workers at the construction field. For further detailed description, it will be explained individually for pristine understanding. Next slide, please. For Table 4, for this first productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement had a high, strong stimulus on the worker's ability to work smartly. This table clarifies that with a weighted mean of 4.28, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity is mostly high. It is an indication that it directed workers to be competent and skillful at work. Now let's give the floor to the next speaker. Thank you.
I'm Jumaika Kubakuben. I am the next presenter. For table number 5, for the second productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly instilled into workers the habit of working in a methodical manner. This table delineates that with a weighted mean of 4.32, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is the positive reinforcement cultivated me to be systematic at work, is mostly high. It is an indication that it cultivated workers to be efficient and precise at work. Next, please. For the table number 6, for this third productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly assisted genuinely the employees in taking initiative at work. This table depicts that with a weighted mean of 4.272, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement helped me to have initiatives at work, is mostly high. It is an indication that it helped workers to lead and take actions at work. Next, please. For table number 7, for this fourth productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly emphasized the need of workplace organization to the construction workers. This table emphasizes that with a weighted mean of 4.36, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement taught me to be organized at work, is mostly high. It is an indication that it taught workers to be well-disciplined and systematized at work. Next, please. For the table number 8, for this fifth productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly enriched legitimately the ability to collaborate at work, then properly enhance the workers. This table epitomizes that with a weighted mean of 4.4, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement enriched me to be collaborative at work, is mostly high. It is an indication that it enriched workers to be cooperative and have unity at work. Next, please. For the table number 9, for the sixth productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly taught unmistakably the workers how to be active at work. This table exhibits that with a weighted mean of 4.528, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement educated me to be dynamic at work, is mostly high. It is an indication that it educated workers to be lively, passionate, and has the will to learn at work. Next, please. For the seventh productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement considerably encouraged unequivocally laborers to be responsible at work. This table explains that with a weighted mean of 4.168, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement, nurtured me to be culpable at work, is is mostly considerable. It is an indication that it nurtured workers to be accountable. Next, please. For this 8 productivity measurement, it revealed that positive reinforcement highly enlightened genuinely the people how to be reflective at work. This table exposes that with a weighted mean of 4.368, the impact of positive reinforcement to their productivity, which is positive reinforcement, enlightened me to be contemplative at work is mostly high. It is an indication that it fostered workers to be devotional and reflective at work. When it comes to the aforementioned 8 productivity measurements, they all allegorized that the impact of positive reinforcement had truly affect the workers' productivity in terms of being clever, systematic, initiative, organized, collaborative, dynamic, culpable, and contemplative because their significance mostly exceeds the set values of certain indicators or the impact is above the 50th percentile or median. Now let's give the floor to our next presenter. Thank you.
I'm Alson Baloyut, and I'm the next presenter. The following tables shows the process for the testing of hypothesis, single means, about the significant impact of the positive reinforcement to the productivity of construction workers. To start, the researchers gathered and tallied first all of the data collected from the survey questionnaires. Next, the researchers get the average mean, which results to 4.339, and then followed by the average standard deviation, which marks to 3.89. For the null hypothesis or H sub 0, the researchers used 4.2, which is based from the scale range, which means there is significant evidence to show that the positive reinforcement is highly substantial to the productivity of the construction workers. For the alternative hypothesis or H sub 1, the researchers used less than 4.2, which is also based from the scale range, which means there is no significant to show that the positive reinforcement is highly substantial to the productivity of the workers. For the alpha, or the level of significance, is 0.05. The x bar is equals to 4.339. For the population standard deviation, or the sigma, is equal to 3.89. And for the size of the population, or n, is equal to 125 respondents. Using the statistic formula, all of the aforementioned numbers were then utilized to solve the z statistic, yielding the result to 0.399503148. Afterwards, using Excel formulas, the z-critical and p-value were then solved and considered. For the z-critical, it is negative 1.644853627, and for the p-value is 0.344761252. The researchers move on to comparing values. Based on the table, z-critical is greater than z-statistics, and p-value is greater than the level of significance or the alpha. The table gives an outcome of 0.340, which means it is less than the z-critical value, which is negative 1.645. In the decision rule, it is stated that the null hypothesis will be rejected if it is greater than or equal with the z-critical value, otherwise it fails to reject the null hypothesis. The result has been made is to accept the null hypothesis, which means the variable interpreted shows that positive reinforcement has a significant impact on the productivity of the workers at the construction field. To conclude, we can say that there is significant evidence to show that the positive reinforcement is highly substantial to the productivity of the workers. Next presenter, please.
Now for the chapter 5, for the summary of findings. The findings revealed that positive reinforcement had a strong stimulus on the workers' ability to work smartly, It instilled the workers to the habit of working in methodological manner. It genuinely assisted employees in taking initiative at work. It emphasized the need of workplace organization to the construction workers. It legitimizely enriched the ability to collaborate at work and properly enhance the workers. It unmistakably taught workers on how to be active at work, and it unequivocally encouraged workers to be contemplative at work, and it genuinely enlightened people how to be reflective at work. Next, please. For the conclusion, positive reinforcement has a vast and great impact on the productivity of the workers at the construction field at different designation or position at the workplace. The result revealed the vitality of positive reinforcement could truly help the productivity of the workers at the construction field to grow and foster. Next, please, for the recommendation. The following recommendations were offered based on the findings and conclusion of the study. First, the construction workers could find more ways to broaden their understanding of how they work in the construction field. They must increase their understanding on the strategies for dealing with dynamic work, a safe environment, and harmonious relationship. Second, for the entire team could further enhance their ability to identify strengths and weaknesses in their working ethics and attitudes. They must recognize the reason why they are experiencing pluses and minuses in terms of their productivity. And moreover, they must be aware of the importance and connection between positive reinforcement and productivity. Third, the supervisor or the employer could further improve their coping strategies, ideas, and reinforcement on how to control and manage the productiveness of the construction workers. He or she must identify the strengths and weaknesses of his or her workers who are working towards a productive way. Fourth, the company could further discover more ways in order for the construction workers to continue work actively and productively. The company must build an advantage with other competitors that could outshine other construction corporations that could lead to an effective and successful firm. Fifth, the future researchers could further make another study related to this study, and it must serve as a basis for future research on the same topic or other related concepts that need clarification. Next slide, please. So that's all for our case study. Always remember that productivity is never an accident. It is always the result of a commitment to excellence, intelligent planning, focused effort, and especially with the help of positive reinforcement. Thank you for listening, and God bless us all. Thank you.